In this evening's video, I'm going to be talking about chickens gardening, their connections, and why not you should keep them close together. So in this video, we're going to be talking all about this sort of stuff, so strap in and let's get into it. So first of all, chickens and gardening sound like two completely different things, but believe it or not, they can be tied in together if you do it correctly. For starters, one thing you don't want to do is let your chickens free in the garden when it's literally like the middle of the summer, your garden's growing nicely, and you just throw them in the garden and say, yo, do whatever you want. There are some plants in there that could potentially poison your chickens, or they'll just destroy the entire garden, and they'll show no remorse. They won't have any emotional distress because of that. Instead, they'll just live their normal lives like nothing ended up happening 5 minutes before that. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I would never trust my chickens in the garden. Another big reason why I don't really want my chickens in my garden is because they tear up the ground just outside of the garden. Because if you don't know, you probably already know this, chickens make dust bathing holes, and sometimes they make them in the most obscure locations, so you don't know they're there until it's too late, so you step in it. And it might not be that deep at first, but it could potentially give you some injuries if you really step in it incorrectly. There's also some behaviors that chickens do that actually will benefit your garden. Like in their chicken coop, if you put shavings there, and when you clean the chicken coop every couple days usually, you can put that in a compost pile, and over time it'll turn into some soil that you can use for your garden, which is what we personally do over here on the farm. As you can see, the garden's right over here. We'll just take the compost and throw it in there. It's not just chicken feed, it's not just the shavings we have from the chicken coop, however, it's like cable scraps and all that sort of stuff that I wouldn't personally feed my dogs. Maybe you would, but not me personally. And as you can see, the chickens in general help it out by doing that. And also, sometimes when they scratch up the soil, it might help a little bit, but not usually a whole lot. And also, they might like dig up some weeds, but that's usually something they also really don't do a whole lot. That's happened before because I've seen them do it, but then they also go ahead and destroy the rest of the plants. Now, if there's something you could do every season when your gardening comes to an end, it's something that we usually do. We set up the fence in the garden. We want to make sure they can squeeze through these fence holes right here so easily. So what we usually do is we usually set up the fence directly in here. And what we do is we just let them free in here, and they'll do whatever they want. But we do have to make sure that we know which plants are poisonous or not. Usually it's like tomatoes, green beans without like, just like the green bean plant is fine, but like the green beans with like the actual produce on it isn't that fine for them. So it's really important to know which one is safe for them and which one is not at the same time. So that way you can rip out the plants that aren't safe right before then, and give them a little bit of some extra treats to have in that coop when it's time to do that. It's really nice and simple, and that's what we used to do. We didn't do it recently because the garden's way too big for them. We did it in 2020 because the garden was just my strawberry patch, and that was our first year gardening, so we allowed them to get into there and do whatever they really wanted to do. 2021, we did it for like a really short period of time, but it didn't go too well, so we just kind of moved them to around where they are right now. I don't remember the exact position, but in my opinion, I think that yes, you can properly combine chickens and gardening to create something interesting. Now, if you're interested in chickens, I have a video on the left side of the screen, which is one of my chicken documentaries from last week. And if you're interested in gardening, I have a gardening playlist on the other side of the screen, which has all my gardening videos from this year. This is like the weirdest video I think I've done on this channel in a while, so be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.